Hello guys, and welcome to Fire Emblem Discussion. So I made a video on this topic, I don't know, it's probably been almost maybe a month ago actually, about what game to play after Fire Emblem Three Houses if you want more Fire Emblem action. I wasn't necessarily happy with that video, being honest, like looking back at it, and I still get tons of questions to this day about what games I should play next, specifically from people who've said that Three Houses is their first game. So I wanted to give you my thoughts on where you should go next. So if you played Fire Emblem Three Houses and you really enjoyed the gameplay and everything, and you want a more traditional experience, a more traditional Fire Emblem experience, and by more traditional, I just mean more of an emphasis on the maps themselves rather than all the stuff that happened between the battles. Where in traditional Fire Emblem, the battles were the driving force behind the game. Whereas I feel like Three Houses, they were more on the back burner. They were still really important. They're still how you progress, but there's so many things to do in the monastery and so many characters to talk to and everything that honestly battles felt like a less important part of the game. It felt like supports and gardening and fishing and training units and everything was way more important than the battles themselves. It felt like they were treated less like a means to an end and more of the journey's more important than the end kind of thing for Three Houses, I feel like. And that's all well and good, it's great. But if you want a more traditional Fire Emblem experience, if you really enjoyed the maps of Fire Emblem and Three Houses, then you should try a more traditional game, such as Fire Emblem the Blazing Blade, or in the US, or I should say outside of Japan, is just known as Fire Emblem. It's the first game to be localized and released worldwide. Up until that point, although the previous 6 games were all just Japanese exclusives. And Fire Emblem 7 is a great place to start. It stars 3 characters, Eliwood, Hector, and Lyn, in their quest to stop bad guys, essentially. I don't want to ruin the story at all for those who want to experience it themselves. But the thing with it's a more personal story. It's less grand scale like you see in Three Houses. So if that's going to scare you away, that's a thing too. But if you just want a traditional Fire Emblem experience and you want to learn the ins and outs of traditional Fire Emblem, FE7 or Fire Emblem Blazing Blade is not a bad place to start. Now, let's say that you really enjoyed the freedom of Three Houses, being able to grind and gain experience as much as you wanted and all that kind of different stuff. Then you're definitely going to want to go for one of a couple of games. Either Fire Emblem The Sacred Stones or Fire Emblem Awakening, or really Fire Emblem Fates like Birthright and Revelation. All those games have extensive amounts of grinding opportunities that allow you to get your units to be as strong as you want, and that can be fun for people. I don't necessarily feel this way, but many people will say that Sacred Stones has one of the best stories and best character-driven stories in the series. It has like the best cast of characters in the series, which again, it's not necessarily my opinion, but a lot of people do say that. And if you really want a strong cast of characters, that's a place you can go. And just overall, those games that I mentioned are relatively easy compared to the other games in the series, especially the more traditional style of games that limit your experience and whatnot. Now, if you just want another home console experience that is just really solid and you can play on your big screen and have a good time, I would suggest going for Fire Emblem Path of Radiance for the GameCube and follow that up with Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. The Radiant Dawn is a direct sequel to Path of Radiance, and they are honestly they're my two favorite games. So I have a hard time not suggesting them to people. They're really, really, really good. As a pair, individually they're both still like fun games and still great, but the overarching story and all the character growth that you see between the two games and everything is a lot of fun. So I would suggest playing Path of Radiance, then Radiant Dawn. If you want a home console Fire Emblem that is really that is on a large scale, the story is really good, it's well written, Path of Radiance especially, and the character, I think it's my favorite cast of characters in the series. I mean, I'm a little biased as my first game that I completed was Path of Radiance, my first full playthrough, and yeah, so if you want a home console big screen experience, go for those games. They're really, really good. I really, really like them. Now, if you want to see where Fire Emblem all began, you want to start from the beginning, you could go back and play the NES original, Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light, but I wouldn't do that unless you want to just kind of experience the archaic nature of the NES and just kind of really see the roots of where this came from. But I would suggest if you want to start from the beginning of Fire Emblem, you want to see Marth's story, you should play Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon for the Nintendo DS. Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon is a remake of FE1, and it just makes the game way more convenient. It's faster to play. It has everything. It still has everything. It still has everything that the first one had to offer, and the more modern conveniences of Fire Emblem from the past decade or so. It's not a bad place to start either. Shadow Dragon teaches you very well. There's plenty of difficulties you can choose from, and there's even an additional prologue which gives some more story and also teaches the player and gives them a little bit of a head start. So it makes it a pretty good place to start, easy to get going, especially if you want to see where Fire Emblem all began. Shadow Dragon's a good place. And if you played Super Smash Brothers and you want to play Marth's game, there it is. Play Shadow Dragon. I think that's going to do it for today. If you have any questions about where to start, feel free to ask in the comments. But just again, if you want a good traditional experience, like the bare bones Fire Emblem 7 or Fire Emblem the Blazing Blade isn't a bad place to start. It teaches the game really well, and it's relatively easy. You'll have a good time. If you want a home console experience, that again is a little more traditional, but is honestly my favorite, so which is why I suggest it. Go play Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. Really, really good for the GameCube and Wii they are. And if you want an experience that is more akin to Three Houses, go for Fire Emblem Awakening, Fire Emblem Fates, Revelation, and Birthright, or Fire Emblem The Sacred Stones. Those games are definitely easier. They are going to allow you to grind your units as much as you want. And if that's a part of Three Houses that you really enjoyed, that's definitely the place to go. Anyways, thanks for watching, friends. I really appreciate it. Again, I know I made a video similar to this a while ago, but I really wanted to do it again, give people another chance to hear my thoughts on this, just because it is, I don't know, again, it's a question I get asked almost every day, whether it's on stream or on Discord or something. Someone's always asking where should they go next, so I just wanted to make another video about it and give you my thoughts. And thank you for watching. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. Except for Sunday. I shouldn't say daily, I guess. We don't upload on Sunday. But regardless, make sure to be around for our basically daily uploads. And make sure to like this video. Every like helps. And of course, every comment helps. Helps in visibility for the video and helps the channel grow. So I really appreciate that as well. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you later.